And all of this happened within a matter of moments before Job. Everything that he had of worldly value was taken away from him in a moment. Now, I obviously, as I said before, I can't even relate to what this man has gone through. And maybe some of you have had these kind of events in your life where your world has come crashing down. But I want to see how Job responded to the situation. If he was a righteous man, I want to know how he responded when these things happened to him, because when I go through the situation, I would want to respond the same way. Verse 20. Then Job arose, tore his robe, and shaved his head. Those were both signs of deep sorrow and deep mourning in biblical times. They would tear the robe, shave it. And he fell to the ground and worshipped. I just want to pause after that, because that is just a moment of just, wow. Like, that he would fall to the ground and worship even in that moment. Even of that moment of deep sorrow. And he says, naked I came from my mother's womb, and naked shall I return there. The Lord gave, and the Lord has taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. And in all this Job did not sin, nor charge God with wrong. So as you can see, that no matter what happened, he did not curse God in the situation. And he didn't understand the situations. He didn't understand if the Lord had actually taken away or given or taken away. But regardless of that, without even understanding it, he said, blessed be the name of the Lord. And I'm going to worship him even in this situation. I don't understand. In chapter 2, you think the story would be done there, and that's a horrible thing to go through, but that's not it. That's not where it ends. And it's even amazing that we even have this chapter 2 to go on, too. Because I don't know if I would even make it through that first test. In all honesty, I don't know about you guys. But chapter 2, again, the Lord calls this meeting in heaven. All these angels are present, and Satan again is there with them. And he says, where have you been, Satan? And he says, I've been on the earth, wandering back and forth and wandering upon it. And the Lord said to Satan, have you considered my servant Job, that there is none like him on the earth, a blameless and upright man, one who fears God and shuns evil? Here's the new part he has. And still holds fast to his integrity, although you incited me against him to destroy him without cause. And Satan asks again, skin for sin, skin for skin, that's what I was trying to say. Yes, all that a man has, he will give for his life. But stretch out your hand now and touch his bone and his flesh, and he will surely curse you to your face. And the Lord said to Satan, behold, he is in your hand, but spare his life. Now again, I'm not going to get into who did what, but the point is God allowed these things to happen to Job, who was a righteous man. And what Satan does is he inflicts Job with painful boils from head to toe, a disease of some kind, from head to toe. Well, I know we have things on our mind right now. If you think of a disease that really threatens us and is painful, a lot of us come in mind with cancer. That's like our modern equivalent of this, in my mind at least. I think of these things. And how these things are real. These things happen to us. Can we relate to that? Amen? These things happen, okay? Being inflicted with a disease that inflicts pain on yourself. Yet, we can see Job's response all the way to the bottom, verse 10 of chapter 2. This is after his wife tells him to curse God and die. And just really quickly, the wife's basically saying, it is better for you to sin and to die than to have to go through this suffering. And I think that's a lie that Satan wants to tell us too, that sometimes that he's trying to tell us that it is better to die, to sin and die, than it is to persevere through a time of suffering. And I hope that's a word for someone here. Maybe you're really suffering this morning and you're ready to give up. But I'm telling you that Job saw through this and said, no, it is better for me to persevere through and to be faithful. And to say that God is faithful regardless of my situations and throughout the struggles that I'm dealing with. So that's what he says. And he says, verse 10, to his wife, he says, you speak as one who a foolish woman speaks. Shall we indeed accept good from God, and shall we not accept adversity? In all this, Job did not sin with his lips. So again, he's just saying, let God have his ways. I don't understand what's going on, but I'm going to be faithful to him for the end. In the next couple chapters, from chapter 3 on through like most of Job, which is about 30-some chapters, we see a dialogue between Job and his 3 friends. And his friends come to try to help Job. But in the way they're helping, they're trying to inform Job that he must have done something awful to deserve this. Which is common. A lot of us, read our Bible and see many times that God often blesses those that honor him and punish those that sin against him. We can see examples such as Abraham and David and Solomon and Samson. These are just a few men where they were blessed because of their faithfulness to God and because they honored God. But I mentioned a couple of them, particularly David, Solomon, Samson, that we thought, well, they didn't turn out too well. Well, that's because what happened? They sinned, and God punished them because of it, right? Amen? Okay, and so there was punishment for their sins. I was trying to think of an example in the Bible where this happened, where something bad happened to someone, and it wasn't because of their sin. And it was very hard to do. It was really hard to come by a situation. You can try and go through your mind right now and try to think of some situation where someone was, what? Joseph, excellent, in Genesis, yes. Joseph, the brother, had 11 brothers, and that's a great example, absolutely. So there's another example of a time when something happened horrible to someone, not necessarily because of a sin. Great example. I have one more example from the New Testament. This is from John chapter 9, with Jesus and his disciples. His disciples saw a blind man, and they turned to Jesus and said, "Who sinned that this man was blind? Was it him or was it his parents?" And Jesus said, it was neither of them. Neither of them. It wasn't because of that. It's so that God could be glorified through him. And as we know, the story finishes, Jesus heals the blind man there. So we don't understand necessarily why certain things happen to us. So I want to flip all the way to the end, because there's a lot of dialogue going on between him and his friends, but they're kind of on different pages. Job continues to say, I'm innocent. I haven't done a sin that really deserves this. I've offered sacrifices on my sins, and I don't think God would punish me this way. And I don't think I deserved it. Can we all say that? I don't deserve this. Have you guys ever felt that way before? I don't deserve this. All right, well, just to clarify, we do all deserve anything bad that does come our way, because the wages of sin is death, and all have sinned. So let's just be clear that anything bad that happens, we did deserve it, in all honesty. Okay? That's a tough pill to swallow, because we do have a loving God, but in all honesty, we deserve death. We don't deserve anything good. But our God is so merciful and loving that he gives us time. I'm here standing today. You're alive today. I'm alive today because of his mercy and because of his patience for us. So I just wanted to get that out there. Okay? Well, let's see how God responds to Job. That's the best way to go. Let's go right to where God comes in the picture here and actually speaks to Job. So we're going all the way back to about chapter 38-ish. See if I get that right. Okay, if you're in Job. So as you can see, Job is there's a long dialogue in the middle there. Let's see. So God comes before him, and God doesn't mention anything wrong with what Job said, even though he might have said some things that were wrong. If you read through all these dialogues, you might see things that Job might have said that might have been wrong about God. But God doesn't do that. He doesn't say, this is what was wrong, this is what was wrong, this is wrong. Instead, he simply reminds Job who he is. He says, Job, where were you when I laid the foundations of the earth? When I molded everything and put it in its place just how I planned it? Where were you when I put the stars in the sky and all the constellations? And do you know the laws of how they all work and how they all spin and stay in their whatever orbits and everything? Obviously he doesn't use those words, but he talks about the stars in here. All throughout these chapters, he's using all these things in nature. Do you understand the clouds and the thunderstorm and the lightning, how I made them and how they form and how they work? Do you understand all that? Do you know all that? That's what God's talking about. And he's reminding Job that I made all these things, and I know how they function, how they move, and how they work. And maybe you don't understand that.